Hey guys, good morning. Happy Monday to you. It's Sonia with Junk Monkey Paint Company, and I'm glad you made it here. Yesterday in our chat, we shared that we would be moving our times in the morning to 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to meet up, and then on Saturdays, 12, meaning noon and noon. So Saturday, Sunday at noon Eastern Standard Time, and then through the week, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you're new around these parts, we meet up and chit chat a little bit. I was gonna say a little bunch of us. A bunch of us just meet up and talk a little bit over coffee about growing our business and just staying focused. So if you are here with me, say good morning. Good morning, Brenda. She is the first on here to say hello and throws me some sunshine. Today, it's really nice outside. You know, when you wake up in the morning and just the temperature inside your house feels different even before you go outside. Well, it's a beautiful day today. This is probably the nicest day of 2020 so far. And right now, I was just checking the weather and it's getting up to 59 degrees today. So that is totally cool with me. Hey, Candy. She says it's a great Monday. Yes, it is. Even Stanley Cat is happy. He wanted to go out really early this morning. He's like, yep, this is a good day to go outside. So he was begging me to let him go out. So he's out. So he's not going to bother me while we're chit-chatting today. Hi, Naomi. How are ya? So today, this is off a topic of one of you guys, what you wrote in. A couple of you guys actually, since we started this group, it shared with me that you find it really hard, especially for those of us in business who are making the things. Like if you're the maker and you're the creator of something and you're working on something and now you're seeing it go out the door. Like that part is hard for you for letting go. Have you ever felt that way? Like where you made something, you created something, you put it up for sale, and maybe you even hoped in the back of your mind that nobody would buy it. You got to keep it in your house for a little bit, or you were just partial to that one and it was really hard, right? Or maybe you made something and you know what, you're supposed to sell it, but it's just so hard to put it up for sale because again, you're attached to it, right? And you're afraid that you're going to have regrets once you let it go out the door. Yeah, you guys are saying, yeah, that's me. Yeah, right. I think we all struggle with that. Any idea? I'm curious to hear why. I wrote down 7 reasons why we should be more versus reactive, be more proactive going into what we're doing so we can separate ourselves from whatever it is that we made with a crowbar, right? So we can have that separation. But why do you think that you struggle with that? Like, what is it that makes you want to keep what you create? Do you fall in love with it? You know, what is it that that makes you go, I don't know if I can sell this. It's so nice. Oh my gosh, will I regret it later, right? You have that feeling of like loss. You let something go out the door. So today I thought over coffee we could talk a little bit about to help your mind, just kind of to wrap your mind around it, okay? So I've got 7 reasons here we're going to chit chat about, and I think the first one I'm just going to go for is go into it knowing, and that's why I say there's you can be proactive or you can be reactive, right? Reactive is when after it's done, you have a reaction to it. Being proactive is when you go into it, like setting yourself up, right? Setting yourself up with the expectations, knowing what's going to happen, already talking yourself through it. And then that way, when you get to the other side, it's not going to be as hard because you've set yourself up for it, right? You've got yourself ready for what's about to happen. And so I think that I'll start with this one first because this is a business group. So I think you have to definitely go into it knowing that it is a business. And yes, it's hard because your hands are touching it, right? And you did create it and you brought it to life. Stacy says, I feel like I put a part of me into it. You did, right? You literally did. And Valerie says, every new piece is my favorite piece. Oh my gosh, that's so funny reading that because I am that person too. Oh my gosh, I love it. I should keep it. I remember when I first started painting furniture, it's like my husband would knew what was going on as well, right? Like he knew exactly what was going down because I would take pictures. And if I couldn't take it outside in front of the big tree because of the weather or something like that, I'd say, help me move it inside from the garage. And so that way I can take a picture. And he go, sure. You just want a picture of it, right? Because you wanted to see it in your house because it was so nice, right? I use that feeling now as like a measuring bar because when I get it to a place, meaning that when I get my work, whatever work that it is that you're doing, when you get it to a place that you feel like you would have it in your house, like you have done you've done such a beautiful job that you would gift it to yourself, right? Like you're so happy with it that you feel like that's for me, that's my measuring bar of when I get to the point where I'm saying, oh my gosh, I love it. Like I would love to have it. Then I know that I feel like that somebody else would be happy with it, right? That's when I get to my finish part of it. And I feel like, okay, all right, I'm good here, right? Because you can go on forever doing touch-ups and things like that. But I use that now as my measuring stick. But my husband would go, sure, yeah, you want to bring it inside the house to get a picture. Sonia, is this ever going to leave our house? And it was hard, right? Brenda says, I get excited that someone loves it as much as me. Then I feel like I'll never find another one like it. All right, I'm going to add a number 8 here, okay? Because you just made me think of something. You are the creator. All right, let's just bop over that one right now, okay? So the first one was go into it knowing that you are a business, all right? That before your hands even touch it, that the reason why you're doing this is because this is part of your business. And you have to separate yourself, right? What's personal and what's business. And yes, you can have pieces that you work on for yourself, but go into it knowing that this is your business. And so have that separation. All right. So you are the creator. We just worked on that one together. All right. To help everybody out. You are the creator. And so one thing I've learned is that furniture for me in my world is a dime a dozen, right? If you're doing pottery, you can find more clay. You can remake that thing. It came from you, right? You made that. And for that very reason, while you could say, well, it's a part of me, I made it. But at the same time, you made it. So you can redo it again, right? Like you have the power to redo it. And that's why when you're authentically yourself and it comes from within, you have the control to reproduce another one that is going to be very, very similar to it, if not even better than the last one, because that's what happens, right? Which leads me in to the number 3 reason, but you get better because you do more of them. If you ever did, I'm just trying to I guess the best way to explain it is if you know somebody who's writing a book, they don't start with just one version, right? They start with one version and then they make their edits and then they put out the next version. And there's many, many versions until they get to the final story, right? And with every version that they do, with all the edits that they make, they get closer to whatever their message is or whatever their focus or whatever the book's about or what they want to, put out there. And that's like us with furniture as well. The more we do it, like the better that we get. So if you want to be an expert in something, learn to let go of the projects that you're working on. With every single one, you're only going to get better. Do you remember we talked about in here how I was telling you I read an article one time, and I think it's somewhere like 10,000 hours to be like a super specialist expert in a field. How many hours have you put into your craft, into your business? And when you're working on those pieces, just think with every single one that you send off, that's a few extra hours that you put into something that you only get better with. And you might think that that version is the best version. It goes out the door. And then you know what? You go ahead and you do another similar version of it. And no two are really alike, right? That's the beauty of the handmade business. That's the awesome thing about it. You have a custom piece. But what you'll find is that you'll do another one and it might not be exactly the same, but you're like, oh, you learn to manipulate something a little bit more. All of a sudden, it's just somehow it's a little different, but in a beautiful way, right? So yes, the third thing is the more you do, the better that you get. You get those expert hours, you get to try stuff. And so if things don't go out the door, your creativeness, your creativity could be put to a stop because you literally have ran out of space to paint or to make or to create. Seriously, we know how crazy a craft room can get, right? So use up the materials that you're bringing into your space, include them into a project that you intended to use them for. Use up the stuff that the tools that you've been buying, meaning all the products and stuff like that. Like make use of all that stuff. That stuff will dry up, it will sit there. Something will happen to it. Yes, use what you got on the products, on the furniture or whatever it is, right? No matter what field we're in, we're always buying things for us to use in our production of stuff. Make use of all that stuff and let it go out. Make space for new, right? So you will get better at it. Sandy says, yes, it gets better and it gets easier. True that, right? Because the more you do you ever notice the faster that you get? Chris says, I repeated a vanity painted the same way and charged more for the second one. I love that because that is the truth. That is the truth. It's just like when you do art or anything like that, you get better at it. You get more well known at it. Your work is going places. Let's add that down, okay? All right, let's add that down. Your work is going places. So your work is going places. If you want to be known, if you want to get more work, what's the best way to do it? Word of mouth. Let your stuff go to places, right? To homes that love what you did, right? These are going to your pieces, your creations are being adopted by families who love and are planning to give. They're paying, to be able to buy these things from you. They obviously are loving on what you're doing, and they're going to good homes. It's not like they're being destroyed. Rather, they're going on to continue to be well taken care of and well loved, right? And your work is going places. And so think about word of mouth and the power of word of mouth. And when somebody says, don't go to that movie, go to that movie, regardless of what we see on TV or the trailers or the reviews on TV. If it's somebody in our personal life, we will take that we'll listen to that more versus somebody we don't know, because we trust the people around us, right? We trust our friends and family. So if your piece is sitting into somebody's home, that means it had to leave your studio to go there. And somebody walks into that house and they see a piece, they're going to say, who did that? I get referrals all day long for people who walk into homes of stuff that I've painted. After being a painter for over 10 years, a lot of my stuff is a lot of places. I barely have anything anymore, right? And I will always get calls and they'll say, do you remember that buffet that you did for Eileen? I got a call yesterday on that. Do you remember the cabinets that you did for Eileen? Do you remember the colors that you used? Because can you do mine? If not, can you tell me what I need to do mine? The referrals that you'll get, and you have an opportunity to take care of those people, to make, friendships. I've made lots of friends with people that I've done work for because they're just good people, right? Your vibe attracts your tribe. You find people that you just connect with and you go way beyond that, right? So that's a beautiful thing as well. If you want to make friends, even since moving here to Titusville and moving here in the last 6 months and not knowing anybody around the area, just doing what I do through furniture and buying furniture and flipping furniture, the connections that I've made, I'm going to tell you, that is a beautiful way to, if you don't have a topic to talk to new friends on, the very fact that, what your business is connects you to other people, right? It opens up conversations. And so that is a beautiful thing as well. Yeah. If you want more into your life, more people into your life, let your work go out and you'll make more connections around the community. But it is a great way to get more business, right? Your stuff is now being seen in front of other people. People are seeing it in the home of the person that you created it for, whether it's commission or whether they just bought it. And they're going to say, who did that for you? Oh, really? Yeah, give me their number. I got to call them too. And they'll say, what were they like to work with? Oh, he or she was fantastic, took care of me. You know what? I gave them my dresser and they only had it for 2 weeks and got it back to me. Those sorts of things go on to only help you, right? But you got to let it go first. All right. So thank you for helping me add that one. Your work is going places. All right. Let's see. How about the next one? All right. Let's pick another one to talk about. How about this? Because I always say that I don't do any stamp collecting. What I do is, requires a lot of lifting and a lot of big stuff. Therefore, I run out of space. How about you guys? You run out of space. So if you want more space and you want to get rid of that problem of running out of space, then make more room and sell what you got, right? So that you can make more. Otherwise, yeah, you have to come to a stop, because at some point, you get so much in a room with you, you're painting this thing and the paint's going over on another thing, right? Or it risks getting broken depending on whatever you're making and you're creating. Or are you making stuff and you're putting it in boxes and you're hanging onto it and you don't even know what you got anymore, Let that stuff go. Put it out, right? Chris says, that's me. I'm not wanting to be a warehouse. Absolutely. When I had my store that is bigger than the one that is now, as I've made some shifts in my business, and the big store that I was in, that was 7,000 square feet of space. It was ginormous. It took a lot of work to fill it. Every day I was painting a ton of stuff. And when I would put my stuff around, And even when I would price it, right, I would have to tell myself, Sonia, don't get attached to it. It is just the thing. This is your work, right? You're doing a service for people. Let it go on. It's only going to open up the door to more pieces being able to fit in here, number one. But I'll tell you on the note of what Chris said, because she raises a good point when she says, that's me. I'm not wanting to be a warehouse. She's not no storage locker, right? She doesn't want to keep it all. And for me, I always look at it as I am not a museum, okay? When you come into my store and people go, do you have anything here that's painted in Teal River? I always say, I'll check for you. I've painted this stuff in Teal River, but the question is, has it sold? Listen, because everything I painted has gone out the door, right? That we all find homes for them. So I never want my storefront to be a museum. That's what I've always said. And when people come in, think about even what that does for your business. If somebody came back to your store or your storefront, or even your online virtual storefront, and they saw the same things for sale over and over again. I mean, they're coming weeks apart, months apart, a month apart, and they're seeing the same thing. They probably begin to wonder, maybe she doesn't move a lot of stuff, right? Maybe her stuff is not in demand. When people see things flying out the door, like, you better grab that now, because I can't guarantee that when you come back, that's going to be here. Do you see what that does? It also shows people that people love your work. And if they love your work, they better buy what you have there, because there's a lot of people looking and it's going to go out the door, right? So for me, I always price my furniture for things to move quickly. It allowed me to, for all the reasons, to continue to be able to create, get better at whatever it is I'm doing, right? And it will go out into people's homes. And when they came, you know what, those pieces that they saw last time is not going to be here. There's something fresh and new for their eyes to be able to see. I never wanted to be a warehouse. I never wanted to be a storage locker. And like I always used to say, I am not no museum, right? I make furniture to bring people joy, which leads us into the next thing that we're going to talk about, right? I don't get joy sweeping around a buffet for like the rest of my life, right? Like, I want that to go on and to move it and enjoy it. And then I can move on to myself and do other things. Candy says, I learned, and it took a while, I had to let favorites go and tell the universe that I am in sync with positive vibrations to find amazing finds in the wild. Absolutely. Because you think that is like the best piece. We're always finding, for us furniture painters on here who are listening, come on, we know you got a piece of furniture that you're going to pick up this week that you already spied that you're picking up, right? We always can turn our sights to something else, and it just opens us up to more. So remember how I use sometimes the example of, you got a ball in your hand and you got it, your hand is just completely grasped around it. You got it and it's under control right here and it's underneath your fingers, right? And there's something bigger out there. Well, you got to open up your hands, okay? You might have to take that marble out. You might have to take that little ball out because there's something bigger there. But if you don't open yourself up to other opportunities, to other things, then all these things start to happen. Yeah, you like things like literally you run out of space, right? So be open to receiving other things that are out there, and you will find other things. I mean, you will find other things. It's just the way it is. We might think, and we might get dramatic, going, I'll never find another one. Yes, you will. Okay. Yes, you will. Jan says, tell me about it. I have a ton of wreaths hanging in my basement. Are those the ones that you love? Oh my goodness. There you go. You need it. Well, when you're ready to move on and go, I'm making space for some new stuff, then you should be like, I'm having a Jan's favorite wreath sale. Okay. And then what you do is you do a Facebook Live, Jan, and you go, okay, friends, you have seen me make these wreaths. Maybe not. I don't know, but I've been making them and here they are. And I have 12. Okay. Well, I don't have 12 doors and I don't have a need for 12 wreaths. And there's more creations I want to do. And it's taken me a long time to get to these. So these are super special wreaths, okay? Because these are the ones that I hold near and dear to my heart. And tonight I am going to do a live sale or, post about it. And so people can have time to show up for it and say, there's only this many available. These are my favorite ones right here. So this is called Jan's My Favorite Wreath Sale. And if I'm making space, so you better buy them quick before I change my mind, okay? And you put them up for sale and you let them go. And we'll move on to the next one, which is now you have made money, right? You've made money that allows you to keep going and to go out and to find new stuff to create with, right? And new trendy things to put into your design and, just things that you love this season. Isn't that a good feeling? And then the people who love, they feel like, oh, wow, we got Jan's special wreaths, the ones that we couldn't pry our fingers away from, right? Catherine says, open up the dam and let the river flow. You got it. Rita says, I had a customer that wanted a certain kind of chest. I didn't have one. 3 days later, I helped someone move, and they had an old beat up one holding a door. And you probably were able to get that one. Yes, we think it's the last thing. And that's why one of the things I learned, and I've shared with you guys before, that when I would go to auctions, you get underneath that feeling of, oh my gosh, I got it now. I got to get it now because everybody in the room wants it too. And you want to hold up your card. You want to pay more money for it. You go into it knowing it's a business, right? So when I would go to auctions and even when I go out to buy stuff, I go into it, which is the first thing we talked about, go into knowing it's a business, right? Knowing it before you put your hands on it, knowing even how much you're going to spend on stuff. When I first started, honestly, my budget was like, I was paying rock bottom for stuff. I would not pay maybe more than $15, $20, even at an auction. And I would just find auctions that I found auctions that cater to that price point, right? I would travel to them. I would batch it out, buy a bunch of furniture, buying furniture for $3, right? This is what started my business in painting furniture. I moved to Pennsylvania. I moved from Canada, if you don't know, to Pennsylvania here in the US. And me and my husband took me to some auctions, and he wanted to see the pop culture stuff. And I was there. And then I quickly realized, wow, these people, like, you realize you could paint that, right? And I bought my very first dresser. It was purple and nobody wanted it. And the auctioneer kept saying, he started off like somewhere like 50, 40, whatever dollars. It was way higher. And he went lower and lower and lower and lower. And I'm just looking around like, you can get a dresser. You can get this dresser for like how cheap? And nobody's buying it. My husband disappeared. He went to the restroom, opportune time. And he got down to like, I think it was $1 or $3. I'd have to go back and check. But literally like rock bottom. He's going, guys, please, it's a good dresser. Somebody take this home so I don't have to burn it in the fire pit out back of the auction hall here. Please, somebody take it. And I got it for like $1 or so. And so I like raised my hand up. My husband comes back going, what is that? Whose is that? That's ours. You can paint that, And that is what started my business when I really went, because I moved here. I wanted to decorate my home on a budget. I had no money. So you know what? I went out and I was finding pieces for my home, and that opened the gates, right, to continue to grow my business. But if I never ever got to the point of letting go of stuff that I painted my house beautiful. And then I got to a point where, okay, you have enough now, right? Anything else, we can't fit it here. Now it's just I'm becoming a hoarder. Okay. So I got to let it go. And if I had never let go of that little ball and opened my hands and when I would paint stuff and not keeping it for myself and going, I'm going to post this today and sell it. And then I would sell it and people would come to me and go, that's sold. Would you do the same look that you did on that dresser for me? And that opened up another arm in revenue where I was doing, custom painted furniture. And the deeper I went, the more I learned about paint. And I went in and learned about the different, how different paints react to different surfaces and all these things. And I wanted to be able to paint in a window that allowed me to be able to paint and be able to do my business outside of when I worked for somebody else, right? And hence the Junk Monkey was born. But it was through that journey, right? And so I did learn way back when that you can find furniture for really, really cheap. It just might mean that you're at the wrong auction or you're at the wrong place, right? Just like we say, if somebody doesn't want to buy something from you or just don't get what you're doing, they're just not your customer. But there's plenty more customers out there. And so never get wrapped up in that. But yes, you can always find more. Yeah, isn't that true, Kim? Everyone just wants the one you sold, right? And that's why they, better be on your email list. And that's why they better be paying close attention. Because you're going forward, right? Remember how we talked about the last couple of days? Your boat has left the shore. Your boat has left the shore. And if they're not watching what you're doing because you are in demand, then they will miss out, right? And so people don't like to miss out. And so there's nothing wrong with letting go of your things because it just shows to other people that other people want them, right? And they may not be there 2 months later when they think they might buy it down the road. If you want it, you might want to get it now. I have learned this in retail. Somebody who came into my storefront at one time, we were having a chat about this, and they had a store as well. When you work a storefront, it gives you a complete different view of the buying habits of people, okay? So it makes me as a consumer think differently. When you have a storefront, you put something out on the floor and you will see one person come by and they will look at it and they will go, let me think about it. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna have to go home and I'm gonna have to measure and I'm gonna have to, let me just see if it's gonna work, if the color is gonna work. Do you mind if I take some pictures of it? It takes a little bit more for them to take action, right? And they leave. But what they don't know is that somebody was there yesterday and they did that, right? Or they sized it up. So there's a saying, and this is what was told to me, like, this is so true, that you're there looking at it today, but somebody was there yesterday. And when you go home to think about it today, they're coming back to buy it, right? And that's why I tell people right now on my junkmonkeypaint.com, if you see something in stock, go grab it now because it will go out of stock because there's so much demand on our paints right now. It is going to go out of stock. And so when I get emails going, oh my gosh, it went out of stock, I don't know what to tell you, right? While you were waiting to take your time to whether or not you needed that color or not, there was a ton of people who already put it in their carts and it's already being sent to them. And that is what I learned from working in retail up close and personal because a lot of times now you think virtually it's always there. No, it's not, right? And you learn to take action. So now after having my storefront and seeing that in action, if there's something I want, I grab it now. Even like, do you guys remember I did the vlog one time on my other channel, my Sonia Miller channel, and we were at the Walmart clearance section. And I told you guys that, I panned the camera and we looked at all the stuff on sale. And while I was doing this, I was like, I'm going to grab that at the end right there. Oh, look at all those really good, all those paper towels are on sale. I did this a couple months ago. And I kid you not, as I was panning the camera for my vlog, I got all the footage for my video to show you guys what I found in the clearance section. And I'm making a mental note, okay, grab that, put that in the cart. But I had my phone in my hand. And by the time I was ready to put my phone in my hand, this guy came from around the corner. You know what he did? He got all the paper towels and he threw them in his cart. And I'm like, that was literally like, I was seconds away from grabbing that, right? You think that you're the only one, but you're not, right? There are other people looking at it as well. So moral of the story, grab what you need right now, right? Chris says, and it's so weird. One week you sell a dozen of whatever it is, and the next week none. Yep, that's business. That is business, right? When I worked in hospitality, that is what I would hear the CEO say, and it just clicked with me. And because hospitality and reserving rooms and things like that. When my background in HR management and being in meetings, and they would always say, and I'd hear it, that there are no reservations in sales, right? Like you don't know if people are going to show up or not. In rooms there is, but in terms of selling stuff, there's no reservations in sales, right? We don't know. We don't know from one day to the next how many people are going to buy, what they're going to buy, if everybody's going to buy that day because they feel compelled to buy. So it can be all over the map, and that is sales. But our goal as a business is this, okay? So not to have sales that go whoop, having a great day, and then like way in the basement. What happens is, so like you get your highs and you got your real lows, right? Whoa, that is going to be a rough ride, right? That's a rough road to haul. But what happens is when you get consistent, you show up every single day, you produce every single day, you're being there every single day. What will happen is things will grow. You'll grow your audience, you'll grow your sales. And what happens is things start to level out. So instead of having all your sales one day and none the next, what happens is you start to have maybe a lot of sales, one sale, a lot of sales, two sales, and then after a while, instead of having such big differences, ups and downs, you do it more consistent. And then it just kind of like, it comes together a little bit more, right? And then yes, sales is still like this, but it's not so much like this, right? So if you're turning it on, turn it off. Turn it on, turn it off, right? Then you're all over the map. And that's why being consistent is so important, even to the flow of your business and getting things set up so people can buy from you every day, not just, on one day, 1 month, one season, but rather things will level out when you're able to do it more consistently. All right, so let's see, what else? How about this? It's faster to get to the next thing. We talked about, we kind of touched a little bit on this, but it allows you to go faster to the next thing. So you get rid of stuff so you can move on to the very next project, right? So that's a good thing. You can go on, you can get better at what you're doing because now you're able to turn around and quickly get to the next project. Because if you've ever put your tools down and there's a break in between because you just can't physically move on to the next thing until some things sell right now, you got to make them, you need some money, you need the space, for all the reasons. Then if you can allow yourself to be able to move on to the next thing faster, you're going to be able to stay with what you're doing. It's like we use the example of riding the bike, all right? And if you ride the bike and then you get off the bike, and then when you go to pick the bike up again, you're going to be a little bit more wobbly. There's time in between. Whereas if that is happening, like if you're you dedicate an entire time to riding the bike and getting off and on, it's going to be easy for you to get the feel of it, right? But if you have these spaces because, you're holding on to stuff and now it's causing you a backlog and now it's impacting whether or not you can take more commission pieces or anything like that, you got to move it on. It's now affecting you, right? Get to it faster and get better and stay on top of whatever it is that you're making and creating because, don't lose it. When you got that flow, don't let something like that hold you back. All right. Ask yourself, is it the process that you love or is it the thing? Okay. Is it the process you love or is it the thing? And this comes back to understanding that it is a business, understanding that you have a talent for whatever you're making and creating. And are you getting caught up in the actual physical thing? Or is it the love? Okay, separate yourself that way. For me, I love to paint. All right, I will paint anything. If you stand next to me too long, I will probably paint you too. For me, I love to paint. Let me say it over and over again. Like that is where I get my utmost joy. All right, if I had my house lined up with furniture, end to end to end to end to end to end, that is not where I get joy. Where I get joy is the making and the creating and how I feel flipping something and giving something new life, something that was once cast off, thought to be brownie, frowny, to be sad and tired. And the fact that I can put a girl in a whole new dress, as I like to say, like that is the part that brings me joy. But if I had to hold on to stuff and not get over that part, I wouldn't be able to keep doing that, right? And so when you're looking at a piece, ask yourself, are you now limiting yourself? Are you not able to continue to do what you do, right? Because you've got so much stuff around that you won't let go for whatever reason. Learn to let go. This is what we're talking about today if you're just joining us. Learning to letting go of your work for all the reasons. Move it on. But yeah, have a conversation with yourself and say, is it that you love trying new things? Is that you love the therapy that you get from it? Is it that you love the feeling of turning your music on or listening to a podcast or listening to a good business chat or listening to something and that's your time, like that is your time? We know that when you get creative, if you know that when you create, like there are so many good things that happen in your body that is beyond just making that piece a color or creating something. There's a whole bunch of internal wonderful things that happen, including lowering your blood pressure, for example, right? There's a beautiful thing that happens when we make and we create that we forget. That's why you lose track of time because we get so into it. You are swept away from all the problems and the responsibilities and the sadness or the things, right? Just the things in life that sometimes just really get you down. The beauty about creating is that when you're into it, that's why we can create and go, oh my gosh, what time is it? Oh my gosh, I was supposed to make supper. I was supposed to put that in the oven. It's because we can forget about all the problems that we have because we're so into what we're doing. It takes us to a whole other place. That's why I call it free therapy. That is why I call it free therapy, right? And that's why I say to people, when you get it, you get it. Because if you're somebody like that, then that means you too love the process. And it's not the thing. It's not that wooden thing. It's the process. It's the gift that you have inside of you. And now you're allowing it to flow through you, which leads on to the next thing, is the fact that the joy that you get when you let it go, you are able to take your gift. You're able to let it come through you. You can literally visually see it on a piece, the talents, the stuff that you have inside of you, everything from the mood, the colors that you use, all those things. And it's like it's a visual representation, right? It comes through you. So it's the joy of doing that. And then it's the joy of letting somebody else enjoy it, right? And then you making space to get that feeling again, getting that high again, getting that, that good feeling that you get when you flip a piece because it's such a good feeling. You guys know it, right? You know what I'm talking about. And that's why I say if you get it, you get it. And if you don't, you don't. but if you do, you do. But think about that, right? So don't hold yourself back. You're more than just a box that you painted. You're more than just a piece of furniture, right? There's something bigger there. Yes, therapy. It's an escape. That's the word. That's a good word. Yes, it is an escape with you, right? And so don't hold yourself back. Know that when you let that go on, you're just making more space for you to be able to sit down and to rejuvenate yourself again. Sit down. Now you got a new blank canvas, right? To start on again. So there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. How about this one right here? It pays your bills. So that is why you should let it go. It pays your bills. It allows you to stay in business. Okay. So I want to be able to keep creating. And I'm going to need to spend money because you got to spend money to make money, whether it's on your tools, whether it's on the things that you're creating on, the things that you need. There's some sort of cost involved, right? With anything, whether it's the baking mix that you need, the clay that you need for your pottery, the stained glass you need for your mosaics, all those things, right? It requires money. And so if you don't let it go, at some point you're going to be creating and you're going to be spending and you're going to keep creating and then you're going to hit a wall. Right? Have you ever been there before where you're like, okay, if I don't let some of this go, I can't afford to go out and buy any more stuff, right? Like I need to let this go. Have you ever been in that space before? And a lot of times, even if you don't see it, people in your life will let you know, AKA your husband, your person in your house, okay? They'll come to you and they'll say, do you really think that you need to buy another blah, 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 because you got like 3 already? Or why are you buying more when you didn't sell what you just painted, right? They're looking at you like, why are you doing this? Whereas, and then also like, why would we spend more money? Like it's just going to sit there. I enacted a personal rule myself with my garage where I said to myself that when I got I wouldn't buy more if I have something already sitting in my garage. And it took me a bit to get to that because I enjoyed the buying. I had that feeling when I first started of, I got to get this now because it's a good deal, right? But it's not a good deal. If it's not a good deal for you, it's not a good deal, meaning that maybe the deal is you bring it home and now you got so much stuff around you, you got no space left to paint. That's not a good deal, okay? You're just not helping yourself there. Might be a good deal monetary wise, but you get it home and it just turns into just something, a burden in your space. Don't take something because it's just on sale, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So when I, first started getting pieces, I would take them all. And then I got to the point where I'd have to pick and choose, right? You do not need them all. So when you get a piece and you've done those pieces, sell them. Just sell them for all the reasons. Go back and review this video. Sell them, let them go. Make money. The people around you will support you because they're like, hey, look at this. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, babe, go take an extra $10. Go get that because I know you've done it before. You'll do it again. You'll flip that piece of furniture and what you paid $10 for, you know what? You're going to end up coming back with, like I said, I just always use the basic example of a $50 crisp bill coming back to you, right? It's only going to help your family. So flip it, make the money, because are you going to put yourself out of business because you can't get over the fact that you have to let it go? Yesterday, I read the abbreviation, the definition of business, right? And it's talking about a transaction that happens for profit. So are you in business? All right, let it go, sell it, and then take that money to put back into your business that will allow you to continue to keep your business doors open and for you to be able to grow. Don't just get stuck there. Naomi says, my husband was more supportive once I started selling things. Yeah, selling things. And there's so many reasons for that because, not only is he seeing that we're taking money from, and if you were like, me and Matt, every single cent that we had, it felt like we would get our paycheck and it wasn't even enough to last to the next paycheck. There was just so many things between now and then. And so there was no ecstasy. There was absolutely no ecstasy. That is what led me to making my own quality paints for my furniture. All right. And that is why I price my paints where they are right now, because that was part of my story. But when you start selling things, your husband will see that the money that you're spending is coming back, right? Even more, which is a beautiful thing. They'll probably see that you're even like, you're rocking and rolling. When you take care of yourself and your feet in your happy bucket, you just become a better person because, you're fulfilling, your purpose. You feel like you get joy out of it and you're just better to the people around you. That's another good reason right there. But the money, the fact that you're putting yourself out there, those are all beautiful things. Judy says, some days it's hard to put it back in. What do you mean when you say that, Judy? Catherine says, Naomi says, my husband as well, but also saw I was happy when I was painting. Yeah, it brings you joy, right? Makes you just taps into your happy buckets right there. Brenda says, paint is her drug of choice. Absolutely. That's why I say there could be worse things that we could be into, right? It wasn't that she was wasting money, that she was serious and that she was more happier and that you were making a difference. And the more you do it, what happens with sales is, and this is why I say, if you sold one thing, you can sell more, right? If it happened once, it can happen again. It just depends on how much you put into what it is that you're doing and how many of those sales that you want to have. Oh, put it back in your business. Yes, exactly, right? Yes, that's exactly. Okay. So she's saying some days it's hard to put it back in her business, meaning the money back into her business, but you have to do it, right? In order to be able to keep your doors open. So for me, when I would sell something and I would make that profit, I would never eat up all my profit. So I would go ahead and I would take maybe a $10 bill, okay? So if I got something for free on the side of the road or I paid $5 for it, and then basic example, somebody buys an end stand and pays me, I don't know, $65 and I get a crisp $50 profit coming out of that. The next time I go out and I buy furniture, I'm only going to take maybe $5 or $10 off of that $50, right? That's in my box, right? And then go out and flip that. You're going to end up with more profit. The problem is when you're spending all your profit, right? And this comes down to budgeting, and this comes down to understanding that if I use it all, I won't have any money left. And so you have to get wiser and smarter and knowing I'm going to be a little bit more thrifty, get swifty, right? I'm going to go out and I'm just going to, stay in my budget. I'm not going to blow my budget. My money's gone and I got nothing left to be able to work with. And that's how you let it grow. Okay, and so what about this one? I think this is the last one I wanted to say. Do you want to leave a legacy? Do you want to leave a legacy? What do you want to be known for? Think about that. Do you want to leave something behind when you're no longer here? Do you want, when people think of you, do you want them to think about, your creations and how you gave back, or, oh my gosh, he or she was known for this, or, they brought so much joy through what they did. They shared positivity. They definitely made an impact. I don't know about you, but I think that as humans in general, at least for the most people that I've talked to, and you tell me if you're the same, but it is a good feeling when you're able to help somebody else. And when you're able to make an impact on somebody else's life and you're able to be that person to somebody else. I mean, tell me if you feel that way. And then ask yourself, do you want to leave something behind? So if you're doing all these beautiful creations and works of art, but they never see the light of day, how is anybody ever going to feel the joy that they get from your work if you don't let it go on and move it on? So if there's any part of you that wants to leave a legacy, you maybe just personally, remember how we say that success can mean different things to different people? If you're a person that says, I would love to be known as being XYZ in business, that is what you would love to do. That is just, you have a passion about it and you would love to be known near and far as the expert in this and get that good. Well, you got to let stuff go if you want to leave a legacy, or if you just want to be known, right, for what you do. If you don't let it go on, your awareness of what you do and you as a person is not going to grow. And so think about that. Oh, you're so welcome, Judy. Naomi says, owners drawing from the business, are the downfall of many small businesses. Yeah, we have to be, when you only have so much money, it can only go so far. So we do have to be careful with that. Yes, and going back to that part, and when your husband does see that things are moving on, like you're buying stuff, you're making money off stuff, it's making you happy, and people want the stuff that you're actually buying, and that it's almost like that social proof that we talk about. Like when somebody sees that other people want what you have, then all of a sudden they go, oh, okay, well, I don't want to, be the first, but I don't want to be the last. And I definitely don't want to miss out, right? They see that. And when your spouse sees that you now have a market, that somebody is buying something from you, that they go, okay, she knows her stuff. All right, he knows her stuff. Let them do their thing, because you know what? I saw what happened the last time. So I'm just going to trust you, right? I'll just trust you. That's smart. Yep. Kim says, I always put my taxes aside from each sale. So when you are in business, of course, you have reasonable business expenses. And so when you make your business official, that is all part of that, right? Collecting receipts and taxes and all that fun stuff. Cool. So what do you guys think of that, right? Man, we talked about a lot of stuff about letting go and just selling your stuff and getting over that hump of, the attachment. Am I going to miss it? Just let it go for all the reasons. And if you ever are at a point where you have a piece in front of you and you're debating whether you post it online, you put it up for sale, you're just, stuck onto it, and it's just for whatever reason, I've been there too, where you're just attached to it, go back and listen to this chat, okay? And chances are you'll fall in one of the categories, one of the things, one of the reasonings that will propel you to go, yes, it's time to just move it on, because it's not going to be the end of the world, right? You can't take it with you. It's not going to be the end of the world. Let it go on. Let it be enjoyed by somebody else, and let that open up so many ways for me to be able to move forward. And don't let a buffet hold you back from the rest of your business or whatever it is that you're making and you're creating, right? You are so welcome, Kim. Brenda says, my husband laughed at me because I get so giddy when I sell a piece. I actually do a happy dance. I don't think we ever get tired when you're a maker or creator. Like, just continue to dance, all right? You'll be dancing for the rest of your life, Brenda, because I know it is such a wonderful feeling. It takes time to balance, Candy says. To be in balance, it does. And when you can take a step back, and that's why I love these business chats in the morning, is because there might be somebody out that's dealing with that right now. They're looking at a piece and they've had it for ages, and just selling that piece could make a difference to their bottom line this month, right? They could have a little extra income for their family, but you can't eat the buffet, right? But you need the food on the table. Just sell it, move it on. You'll be able to do more. I promise. You will go on and you'll be so happy. It's almost like you get a distance from stuff, and then you realize it's not like what at all you thought it was going to be, right? Sometimes when we're in the moment, you just see stuff so up close that you hang on tightly to it. And then when you take a deep breath and you sit back and you go, well, it's really not that bad. It's really not that bad. I'm the creator. I can do it again if I really want it to. That's what I always tell myself when I let my paintings go and things like that. Get it to a point that you're in love with it and you want to keep it for yourself. You know that's the bar of achieving like a beautiful finished piece. Let that be your bar. When you get that gut feeling like you want to keep it, then you know somebody else is bound to love it too, right? Somebody out there is going to pick up on what you did and love it just as much as you. Make that be your, okay, that's where I know it, where I'm happy with it. Okay, I can move it on and move on to the very next thing. And sometimes having a chat like this with other people, and just, if that's something that you're dealing with, it just helps you, like I said, just get more of a global view instead of being face and eyes into it, because I know how it feels. You are your morning recharge. Good deal. Well, it is 9:49. How is everybody out there dealing with the time change right now? Because I didn't feel it yesterday, but I really felt it this morning. I found it hard to go to bed last night, and I stayed up way too late. And then I started thinking in my head going, oh my gosh, the later I stay up, and then you start thinking, well, is it really 8 or is it 7? And then you start thinking about all these things. But yeah, I found it hard to go to bed last night to actually make myself go to sleep. So then I stayed up way too late with this whole time change thing. So I think I need a few more days to get used to it just yet. All right. Take care, friends. I will see you guys again tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'll hang out a little bit again. Take care and have a good day, and do something today that moves your business forward and definitely fills your happy bucket, okay? If you enjoyed our chat this morning, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, a heart, leave a comment if you haven't done so. And the ultimate cherry on top is when you share this video with somebody who also needs to hear it. That is the fuel that keeps our community here going and makes our community run. Thank you for the hearts. Naomi, I didn't realize that you don't do time changes. Oh, wow. Deborah says, I can't thank you enough. Thanks for the inspiration you have given me to finally get started. Do it. It's your life, girl. Ain't no dress rehearsal. That means we have a day to get some stuff done that we know that we need to do. All right. So let's just all go do it. And I'll meet you back up here tomorrow morning. See you guys. Thank you. Bye.